So this is actually me starting out to make the top half of the Poppins Restaurant build. What I'm doing is I'm actually using a ruler and a fine tip art pen to draw onto the plastic and create the shapes that I need. I'm always referring back to the plans that I drew up last week, and because they're really important to making sure that everything's done accurately and to scale. And so you can see that I'm taking time to score things and break things on those score lines, which is a technique that I use quite a lot. So I've got my piece that I've cut out carefully, and I'm going to offer it up and see if that fits, see how it looks. So obviously I've been quite happy with that. So now what I've done here is I've got a piece of sticky back paper, like label paper, and I'm going to measure around it with my fine tip pen in order to create it like a cover for it. And the reason for this is because the whole front of this building is, or at least the top half of this building is concrete, and in the past I've used plastic card and I've literally put it on and cut it to size and everything, and yeah, it looks like concrete, but sometimes the edges, even if I file them, they're not quite as smooth as this method. So I'm literally sticking a piece of plastic card onto sticky back paper, and as you can see, cutting out the corner bit so that then I can fold over the edges. And for a lot of this so far, which is what I've done for everything else you can see on that top half of the building, it's worked. So here I am folding over those ends, and it just makes every piece look a little bit neater. I can prime onto this as well, and so which will then mean I can airbrush it all with a light grey, which is what I intend to do, and then the weathering. But here you can see that I've just applied that on, making sure that it demonstrates the same look as the real building. And there's lots of this, there's lots of putting things on, taking things off, and trying it again. Just constantly going backwards and forwards with the ruler. Now here I'm going to be scoring these lines in, because these are kind of like where the concrete sections are, where the partings are, and because it's got the paper on top of plastic, it means I can make a really nice score line that goes all the way through the paper into the plastic. And effectively, when I've sprayed it and when I've got the airbrush onto it, it really does come out well, and I get a bit of a black wash in there as well, and it'll really set the sort of coarse, I suppose, mortar lines, set them apart from the rest, of the build and make them stand out. Finally, I was really enjoying doing this as well. Sometimes I can feel a little bit, I can rush myself. I have to slow myself down and be more patient. Can't always do that, but sometimes it's just nice. I've usually got the radio on or listen to a podcast, and it's just ever so sort of gentle, really. I mean, I know I'm sped up at times here, but it's such a nice experience for me anyway. It's like I liken all of this to sort of like meditating, or I call it like it's a discipline, because you have to sort of hold yourself back and make sure you don't rush it, I never get angry with anything either, which is a question I get. Do I get frustrated and feel like I'm going to throw out the window? But I never do. It's and that's just the way it's always been. I remember starting doing this on the floor in the bedroom when I was younger, and I had this realisation that I could literally make anything I wanted to, if I wanted to, and make it to a very good level as well if I could. And so fast forward to now, and this is the sort of stuff I'm making. So this is me. I'm trying to make some ledges to go around that top detail that I've just put in. Because on the references I'm looking at, there's quite a few of these ledges that sit around the top, but the tricky bit with this was I needed to make them not just sit flat, but I needed to sort of hook them around the edge. So there's like a 90-degree angle on both ends that needed cutting out, and then finally positioning so it sat flush with the detail that was protruding on the front of the building. So it's just some fine cutting here that I had to do. You can see I go backwards and forwards like many times with the Stanley knife to try and get through the plastic, and I remember actually doing a lot of thinking back to when I started. I remember having a sheet of plastic card, wanting to use it and thinking, have I really got to score this 10 times to get through it? And the realisation is, yeah, you have to. There's obviously you can break it out, but you've got to be patient with it. And I remember thinking, sod this, I'm going to do this. And actually I do it all the time now, and I don't even think about it. 10 scores and snap it open. But as you can see, by taking that time, I've managed to cut out 2 identical pieces that actually fit really nicely into each other. So this was, I was really happy with. And there I'm applying the super glue in like a kind of, you get a stick and a plastic card, and I'm putting it on in that manner because it's easier like that. Sometimes you don't need to just always pour it out the glue bottle. You can think around things, think outside the box. That's what I do constantly. I love it when I find a new way or a simpler way to do something. So good. Just using that ruler to make sure it's all flat and flush. It's always good to use it that way. And as Adam Savage says, every tool is a hammer. So that's what I'm doing with that really. I'm using it as a thing to make sure it's all neat. So this is the completed top section of Poppins Restaurant. Basically, I've managed to put in all the details I needed to off the references, and this is kind of where we're at for this week. Hopefully next week's we'll be able to start to think about the front glass window that sort of looks into the restaurant, and start to put that together and think about how I'm going to connect this with that section as well. So there's going to be a lot going on there, but we'll see how that all pans out. And as ever, if you want to subscribe, like it, and I'll see you next week. Have a good rest of your weekend, everybody.